We shall now take a look at an algorithm where we are calculating the factorial of a number. Let us say my number is 4. In maths, the factorial of 4 is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, okay, which is equal to 24. In computers, you can't do this in one step because this requires multiplication starting from 4 to 1 at the same time. So what we do is we first multiply 4 with 3. We get the answer as 12. Then we multiply 12 with 2. We get the answer as 24. And then we multiply 24 with 1 and we get the factorial of 4 is 24. So what we shall do in order to find the factorial of a given number is first the result of that factorial is going to be stored in a variable called as fact, and I need to give it the initial value 1. It's a good idea to give it the initial value 1. I'll tell you why. The reason being 0 factorial is 1, 1 factorial is also 1. So suppose the user enters the value of a number whose factorial is to be found is 0 or 1, then it should print the factorial of that number as 1. Then what I'm going to do next is I am going to read another number whose factorial is to be calculated. So let me call that as n, or I can give it num or any name. So let's say this number happens to be 3, 2, 4 and so on. So let's proceed with the logic. Then as I draw the table, I'll proceed to explain how things really work. So in order to find the factorial of a number, the first step as usual is a start. Next step is I need to read a number whose factorial is to be found out. So let's draw this table. So here I have a variable called fact. Here I have a variable called n whose factorial is to be found. So I say input n. N stands for the number whose factorial is to be found. Okay. Let us say we read n as 3. In the next step, what I do is I initialize fact to 1. You will know why I am taking this variable called fact and putting it to 1. The reason being I want to ensure that if the value of n is entered as 0 or 1, it should print that factorial as 1. So I have taken a variable called as fact. I've initialized it to 1. Then what I can do is I can do a repeat for, okay, I can do a repeat for I equal to 1 to n. So what I can do is starting from the value of I equal to 1 till it reaches 3, I can keep multiplying fact with I. So let me take a variable I. Alright. So let's see what I am doing. I am doing in step 4 trying to calculate or compute the factorial by progressive or regular multiplication with the value of I. So what does this for loop say? Repeat for I equal to 1. So I'm starting with the value of I equal to 1. What am I doing? I am multiplying fact is equal to fact into I. Fact is 1. You can see here it was initialized as 1 here. So in this step fact is 1 into 1. So fact remains 1. When you go back here, I ends up becoming 2. Now next time when you come, factorial is fact into I. 1 into 2, so fact becomes now equal to, fact now becomes equal to 2. I again go back here. I now ends up becoming 3. 3 is still not exceeded this 3. So I come in here. Fact is 2. 2 into 3 is, fact is now equal to 6. Fact is now equal to 6. When I go back here, I ends up becoming 4. So this condition is done processing and I have to come out of the for loop. And here I go ahead and print the fact. So what is the factorial of 3? It happens to print as 6. And then finally I do end of the algorithm and exit. So the idea is pretty simple. I take one variable called as fact with the initial value 1. I take one variable called n where I read the value of the number whose factorial is to be calculated. Then in this repeat loop, starting from 1 till I reach this number, I keep multiplying fact with 1, then with 2, then with 3, then with 4, depending upon whatever is the value of n. When I equals the value of n, that is the last multiplication I do and I come out and I print the factorial and then I finally stop. I hope this clarifies your understanding of how to go about calculating the factorial using a repeat for. You can also try doing it using a repeat while. That will help you clarify your concepts even more better.